Imagine looking at your family tree, picking up a thick black marker, and just, crossing out every single name.
Oh, wow. Like literally everyone.
Yeah, literally everyone. Your parents, your siblings, your extended cousins,
Yeah.
just all gone.
That's a pretty brutal image to start with.
Right. But now imagine replacing all of them with total strangers from like across the globe.
Hmm.
And the only reason they're your new family is because they vibrate on your exact frequency.
Vibrate on your frequency, okay.
Yeah. That is the radical, literal proposal of this dense translated text we're getting into today. It's from December 2009, and it basically wants to completely dismantle the biological family.
It's an incredibly bold premise, for sure.
It really is. So we're jumping straight into this fascinating document. It's written by an author named Shu Feng, translated by Kong Long, and the title is Souls Sharing the Same Vibration, Our Family.
And, looking at this text, it is a massive structural teardown of how society organizes itself.
Yeah.
Like, the text isn't just a metaphor. It is an active blueprint proposing that we abandon blood ties entirely.
Just throw them out the window.
Exactly. Replacing them with a system based on behavioral and spiritual resonance. The ambition here is to ensure that as you navigate your life, you don't just, endure the family you were assigned.
Right, the whole you don't choose your family thing.
Yeah, but instead you actually acquire this vast, ever-growing network of highly calibrated family members.
Which is wild to think about to everyone listening, regardless of whether your biological family is a source of immense comfort to you or, a source of real pain. This text demands that you completely reimagine what that word even means.
It forces a total reset.
And it really does.
Yeah.
But an idea this destructive to the status quo doesn't just emerge out of nowhere, right? Okay, let's unpack this. Because the author doesn't use modern psychology or sociology to back this up.
No, not at all.
He goes straight to ancient religious precedent to authorize this teardown.
Yeah, he grounds this modern redefinition in the Gospel of Matthew, specifically Matthew 12:250, to establish a foundation of absolute authority.
Oh, right, the Jesus quote.
Exactly. Yeah. The text opens with Jesus stating, "For whosoever does the pleasure of my Father in heaven, he is my brother and sister and mother."
Wow.
So the author is pulling from a deeply established historical moment where biological ties were publicly, loudly deprioritized, right?
Yeah.
Deprioritized in favor of spiritual alignment.
And the author uses that quote to build a launch pad, but then takes an incredibly audacious leap. Like, Shu Feng explicitly states in the text, and I'm quoting here, "I am the embodiment of Jesus Christ in this era."
Right. He goes right out and says it.
He does. He describes the current time as an era for reaping the ripe crops.
Which is a massive framing device.
It really is. And, just to be completely clear for you listening, we're not taking any sides here. We're not endorsing this religious viewpoint or criticizing it. We are just impartially reporting what is actually written in the source material.
Right. Our goal is just to convey the ideas exactly as the author presented them. We're neutral observers here.
Exactly. But looking at how it's presented, the author isn't positioning himself as just some philosopher tossing out a thought experiment, right?
No, he is claiming direct, divine authority to redefine human bonds for this specific era.
It makes me think of the traditional biological family as being assigned to, like, a mandatory group project in middle school.
Oh, that's a great way to put it.
Right. You don't pick your partners. You might get the kid who does all the work, or you might get the kid who never shows up and constantly causes chaos.
And you're just stuck grading them together.
Exactly. You're stuck with them, for better or worse, because you happen to be seated at the same table by biology.
Yeah.
But this concept is entirely different. It's an opt-in collaboration of volunteers who all share the exact same mission. So how does using a biblical quote about prioritizing the Father's will over biological ties set the stage for the author's ultimate goal?
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture,
Yeah.
we're seeing a framework laid out from a stated position of ultimate spiritual jurisdiction.
Right.
By framing it this way, using the concept of Jesus as the road, the truth, and the life, the author detaches the word family from genetics entirely.
Completely severs it.
Exactly. The argument is that following these teachings leads to rebirth in heaven. Therefore, the truest, most legitimate bonds between human beings aren't physical at all.
They're spiritual.
Yes. Family becomes a destination you arrive at through your actions and your alignment with the greatest creator, rather than just, a physical starting line you were born on.
I really love that distinction, a physical starting line versus a spiritual destination.
It changes everything.
It does. But here's where it gets really interesting, because if we erase the biological family tree, what is the actual gravity holding this new volunteer family together?
The gravity is what the author calls vibrational resonance.
Right, the title of the text.
Exactly. And what's fascinating is how the author takes that sort of abstract concept and makes it highly specific. The text outlines 8 distinct conditions or standards for being part of this family.
8 conditions. Okay, what are we looking at?
So the first few conditions operate on a macro level. They are about a person's broader worldview.
Like their philosophy on life?
Yeah. It requires revering the greatest creator and walking on his way. It demands revering life, capital L-I-F-E, in the text revering nature, loving life, and loving peace.
I was looking at those actual criteria before we started, and it completely subverted my expectations.
How so?
Well, when I try to define what makes someone a good family member, I instantly think inward. Like, I think about how they treat me specifically.
Yeah, the interpersonal stuff.
Yeah, do they remember my birthday? Will they pick me up from the airport? Do they lend me money when I'm in a tight spot?
Practical support.
Exactly. But the author's definition of family starts outward. The very first hurdle you have to clear to be considered my family has nothing to do with our dynamic.
That's totally separate from you.
Right. It's about how you treat the planet and whether you love peace.
It completely shifts the boundary lines of kinship. It takes the definition of family from being this private, insular, walled-off unit and turns it into a globally aligned mindset.
Which is huge.
It is. Think of it like 2 tuning forks.
Okay, I like a good physics analogy.
Right. In physics, if you strike one tuning fork and another nearby is calibrated to the exact same frequency, the second one will start humming without you even touching it.
Wow, yeah.
That is resonance. The author is basically applying auditory physics to human souls. If you have to force a connection, you aren't calibrated to the same frequency.
You're just hitting the tuning fork with a hammer.
Exactly. True family just hums together automatically based on a shared reverence for life.
Applying the tuning fork physics to human souls paints such a vivid picture. Think about the implications for you as a listener navigating the world.
It's profound.
It is. If you are sitting on a train in a foreign country and the person sitting across from you deeply reveres nature and loves peace, according to this framework, you are already humming at the same frequency. You are instantly categorized as family.
Just by existing in the same worldview.
Right. It creates this vast theoretical kinship network covering the entire globe. You have millions of family members you haven't even met yet.
It's an incredibly expansive, outward-looking foundation. It creates an immediate sense of belonging, which is beautiful. But a shared worldview is only the entry point.
Ah, there it is.
Yeah, the text doesn't let you stop at loving peace in the abstract. It moves very abruptly from the macro to the micro.
So getting into the weeds of how we actually treat each other.
Precisely. The remaining conditions out of the 8 deal entirely with how people interact with one another on a granular daily basis. And I have to say, the behavioral standards are staggering.
Yeah. Let's unpack the actual daily behavior required to keep those tuning forks humming. Because a global worldview is nice, but this is where the philosophy has to survive contact with reality.
Exactly. So the text says a family member is someone with whom we can share weal and woe, good times and bad times.
Okay, sure.
They care for us, and they never oppress, exploit, or bully us.
Which is a baseline most people would agree with. I mean, we all desire a support system completely free from exploitation.
Right, that's just a healthy relationship.
But then the text introduces an absolute barrage of the word never.
It gets intense here.
It really does. A family member is one who speaks gently. They never shout at us.
Never.
They never complain. They never laugh at us, insult us, or discourage us. They forgive our mistakes and make us smile. They never quarrel or fight with us, but are always willing to sacrifice their personal interests for us.
Always.
It's wild. They bring happiness, freedom, and are close to us but never harm us. The text actually summarizes this by promising that with true family, there is absolutely no loneliness, no anxiety, no fear, and no pain.
The author is painting an undeniably compelling, totally frictionless vision of human interaction. The core argument is that wherever you are, as long as you are surrounded by this specific vibration, your life will be beautiful, happy, and your future will be blessed.
I have to push back hard on this, though.
I figures you might.
Oh, yeah. Because as I read that list of nevers, never shouts, never complains, never quarrels, it feels like an impossibly high, borderline utopian standard for a human relationship.
It is undeniably strict.
Think about the pizza slice scenario.
Okay, lay it on me.
If my biological brother yells at me for eating the last slice of pizza, he's annoyed, sure, but he is still my brother.
Right, the bond remains.
Exactly. The permanent ink on the family tree doesn't disappear over a slice of pepperoni. But in this text, if I have a terrible, exhausting day at work and I come home and complain to you about it,
You're breaking the rules.
I just broke the resonance. I'm complaining. I'm introducing negative friction. Am I suddenly no longer acting like family?
This raises an important question, and it really gets at the core of the text.
Like, by demanding a relationship with absolute zero conflict, doesn't this actually make it significantly harder to find and keep family than the traditional biological model?
That is the central tension of the entire framework. You are pointing out the fundamental difference between enduring conflict and eliminating it entirely.
Right.
Traditional biological families are often defined precisely by their capacity to survive friction. The bond is supposed to be strong enough to withstand the shouting, the complaining, the sheer messiness of human beings living in close proximity.
Yeah, it's messy, but it's durable.
But the author flips that completely. He defines family entirely by the absence of conflict.
Which is just, it's demanding absolute perfection. It's like saying a true friendship only exists if you never, ever disagree on what movie to watch on a Friday night.
It demands total self-erasure in moments of friction. Notice the specific requirement that a family member is always willing to sacrifice his or her interests for us.
Always. That word carries so much weight.
It does. That is the ultimate litmus test for this vibration. The logic presented is that if two souls are truly vibrating at the same frequency, if the tuning forks are perfectly calibrated, there wouldn't be any need to quarrel.
Because you just agree on everything.
Exactly. Because your desires and their desires are in perfect peaceful alignment. You wouldn't want the pizza if your family member wanted it.
Oh, wow.
It is utopian by its very definition. The author argues that this utopian standard is the only standard worthy of the label family. Any relationship that involves shouting, fear, or even routine complaining is just physical proximity.
So it's not real.
According to the text, no, it is not a true spiritual family.
That is such a razor-sharp distinction. If there is friction, the vibration is off. If the vibration is off, the tuning forks stop humming, and you aren't family.
It's very binary.
It strips away all the safety nets of unconditional love, right?
Yeah.
And it replaces them with a highly conditional behavioral contract.
That's a great way to summarize it.
But, if we accept these incredibly strict behavioral guidelines, if someone actually manages to live up to these tuning fork standards and only surrounds themselves with people who do the same,
A big if.
a huge if. But if they do, it leads to the text's final sweeping conclusion about society as a whole.
Yes. The text culminates in a massive call to action. The author argues that the traditional blood relationship-based definition of family is fundamentally obsolete.
It's just outdated tech.
Basically, it has outlived its usefulness and needs to be discarded. He calls for the building of a new family theory.
A new family theory. That phrase feels monumental. It's proposing a complete rewrite of human sociology.
It really is.
The stated purpose of this new theory is so everyone can have more families on the journey of life, making their lives more beautiful, happy, and blessed. So what does this all mean? How does this actually change the way someone walks through the world today?
Well, if you adopt this new family theory, it completely alters the economy of relationships.
How so?
It moves it from a model of scarcity to a model of abundance.
Okay, scarcity to abundance.
Think about it. Under the traditional biological system, family is a limited resource.
Yeah.
You only get the parents, the siblings, and the cousins you are physically born to.
Right.
It is a capped resource. If that limited network is dysfunctional, absent, or toxic, you are largely out of luck. Society still views the biological unit as the primary foundation of your life, even if you find good friends later on.
Yeah, you can't just go to the store and pick up a new biological sister.
Exactly.
If you are an only child, the resource of siblings is permanently zero.
Precisely. The biological model relies on a roll of the genetic dice.
Yeah.
But the new family theory offers a model where family is an infinite resource. You can continuously accumulate family members over the course of your entire life.
Wow, just collecting them everywhere you go.
This is the deep psychological appeal of the text's conclusion. It promises an absolute antidote to the isolation and loneliness that so many people feel.
Even when they're surrounded by their blood relatives.
Yes. By redefining family as anyone, literally anyone on Earth, who meets these behavioral and spiritual criteria, the author is offering a blueprint for a chosen, intentional community.
It is empowering when you view it through that lens of abundance. You aren't stuck with the hand you were dealt at birth.
You can just walk away from the table.
Right. You can go out into the world, find people vibrating on your exact frequency, and every single time you find one, your family grows. You are actively building your own kinship network.
It's a method for curating a flawless, hand-picked support system. It is designed to guarantee happiness by ensuring that you are continuously surrounded only by people who revere life, speak gently, and are endlessly willing to sacrifice for your well-being.
Which sounds amazing.
It does. The text essentially argues that loneliness is entirely solvable if we just abandon the old definitions and start seeking out our true resonant matches.
It's a comprehensive, breathtaking reimagining of human connection.
It really covers all the bases.
It takes us from a deeply rooted religious justification to a global mindset, filters it through a remarkably strict behavioral code, and leaves us with this vision of infinite chosen family. Yeah, but before we sign off, there is a lingering shadow in this beautiful utopian blueprint. The entire system is built on perfect, frictionless harmony.
And that is exactly where the framework faces its greatest test.
Right.
The text defines family by the constant, unbroken presence of gentle speech, forgiveness, and sacrifice. But human beings are inherently flawed creatures.
We get exhausted, we get stressed.
We miscommunicate all the time.
Yeah.
So what happens when the tuning fork gets a dent?
Ooh, that's a tough question.
Right. If a vibrational family is based entirely on maintaining these flawless behaviors, rather than the unconditional, if sometimes incredibly messy permanence of blood ties.
Yeah.
What happens the moment someone inevitably makes a mistake? What happens when the person who always speaks gently finally reaches their breaking point, loses their temper, and shouts?
Does this redefinition mean you can lose your chosen family just as easily and suddenly as you can find them?
That's the risk you run.
If the vibration breaks, does the family simply vanish? It forces you to look at the messy, permanent ink of a biological family tree in a completely different light.
It really does.
Maybe there is a hidden value in a bond that survives friction. As you go about your day-to-day, look at the people around you, your friends, your coworkers, your blood relatives. Ask yourself who truly shares your vibration.
And ask yourself what it takes to keep that vibration humming when life gets loud.
Such a great point. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive.